Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. As is our custom at this time, I'd like to introduce Officer Ott. Officer Ott is with the Cobb County Police Department. He is here representing all our first responders. And as is our custom at this time, I'd like to ask everybody to rise, and Officer Ott will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, for those of you that are here for the first time, let me give you a little insight on how we're going to conduct the meeting today. The first thing that we will concern ourselves with is the held and continued cases from last month. As we proceed, Mr. John Peterson, our head zoning administrator, will read these cases into the record. And as he does, the applicant, he or she, as their name is called, will raise their hand to identify themselves. Once we complete that, then we go into the consent agenda. Again, Mr. Peterson will read these applications into the record. As we do that, as your name is called, we will ask you to identify yourselves by raising your hand. Likewise, as we read each one of these individually into the record, if there's anybody here in opposition to any of these particular cases, if they would also identify themselves by raising their hand. And if we have opposition, we will pull that particular case and hear it in its regular numeric order. We also have, that should complete our business for today. If we go into our regular hearings, I will charge you and the audience and the applicants at that time. So with that said, I'm going to ask Mr. Peterson if he has any special announcements to make at this time. John?
Thank you, Chairman Holman. I would like to ask the people in today's audience, if you have a cell phone, please turn the volume down on your cell phone. If it rings, it would interfere to broadcast the presentation. There are some cases on today's agenda which have been held or continued and will not be heard today. First case is variance case V118 of 2018, Michael L. Acree. That case was continued by the staff, or by the BZA until the February 13th, 2019 hearing. So V118 of 2018 will not be heard today. Also, variance case V129 2018, Hill Road LLC. That case was continued by the staff until the February 13th, 2019 hearing. So V129 of 2018 will not be heard today. Mr. Chairman and Board, we did get a request for the applicant for V1, Richard L. Perry, to withdraw his case without prejudice. So we would ask the Board to take a vote on this and withdraw this case without prejudice.
Okay, on V1, and that is Commissioner, and let me introduce our newest commissioner, Fred Boiling is here. He represents District 1, and Fred, that is your particular case. So you want to make a motion to?
Certainly. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to allow the withdrawal of that request without prejudice at this time.
Okay, I've got a motion. Second, Ms. Williams. No other comments? Call for the vote. All in favor or no? Signify by voting. Okay. Madam Secretary, we're going to approve that withdrawal without prejudice with a 5-0 vote. All right, John, what else?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is one case on today's printed agenda which has been withdrawn and will not be heard today. That's variance case V11, North Church Lane Properties 1, LLC. That case was withdrawn without prejudice by staff and will not be heard today. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to start the consent agenda.
All right, let's get right on to it, John.
Thank you. Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for January 9th, 2019. Variance case V117 of 2018, Matt Brond requests a variance to reduce rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 600 square foot rear carport from the required 35 feet to 8 feet. Reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 260 square foot front carport from required 10 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the north property line, and allow an accessory structure which is an approximately 260 square foot front carport to be located to the side of the principal building in land lot 185 of the 16th District. The property is located on the east side of Wood Creek Drive, south of Fox Creek Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on October 8, 2018, for the existing buildings only. And 2, subject to the hold harmless agreement on file with the Cobb County Water System. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V117? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V2, Richard and Laura Maurice request a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 30 feet to 26 feet in land lot 974 of the 16th District. The property is located on the north side of Chestnut Lake Drive, south of Hampton Woods Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan received by the zoning division on November 5th, 2018. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V2? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V3, Chick-fil-A requests a variance to allow accessory structures, which is a proposed 835 square foot face-to-face canopy and a proposed 539 square foot meal delivery canopy to be to the side of the principal building in land lot 1061 of the 16th District. The property is located on the northwest corner of Summit Village Drive and Roswell Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to site plan received by the zoning division on November 8th, 2018, with the zoning division manager approving minor changes. Is the applicant present? The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V3? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V4, Chick-fil-A requests a variance to allow accessory structures, which are a proposed 1,335 square foot face-to-face canopy and a proposed 514 square foot meal delivery canopy to be to the side of the principal building in land lot 413 of the 19th District. The property is located at the southeast intersection of Powder Springs Road and Windy Hill Road and on the west side of Macklin Crossing Circle. Staff recommends approval, subject to site plan received by the zoning division on November 8, 2018, with the zoning division manager approving minor changes. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V4? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V5, David R. Parks requested variance to reduce the front setback from required 45 feet to 35 feet, to reduce the side setback from required 12 feet to 10 feet adjacent to the south property line, and to reduce the rear setback from required 40 feet to 19 feet, which is existing, in land lot 1045 of the 17th District. The property is located on the southwest corner of Lamppost Circle and Lamplighter Lane, south of Huntsman Way. Staff recommends approval, subject to the site plan last revised November 7th, 2018. Is the applicant present? The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V5? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V6, Reeves Newsom requests a variance to increase the maximum allowable impervious surface coverage from 40% to 43.88%, and to reduce the side setback from required 10 feet to 8 feet adjacent to the south property line, which is existing, in land lot 228 of the 20th District. The property is located on the west side of Fernstone Terrace, south of Fernstone Trail. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V6? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V7, Thomas Greg Arnold requests a variance to reduce the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a proposed 494 square foot pool house, required 40 feet to 20 feet in land lots 75 and 76 of the 1st District. The property is located on the east side of Willow Knoll Drive, south of Crepe Myrtle Circle. Staff recommends approval, subject to impervious surface not to exceed 35%, with the Stormwater Management Division approving the final plan. Is the applicant present? The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V7? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V8, Burma Arlene Gaddis requests a variance to allow an accessory structure, which is an existing approximately 624 square foot garage to be to the side of the principal building on proposed track 1, and reduce the front setback from required 45 feet to 28 feet, which is existing on proposed track 2, and to allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened and treated surface, which is an existing gravel driveway on proposed track 2 in land lots 586 and 587 of the 19th district. The property is located on the north side of Moon Road, west of Florence Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V8? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V9, Albert Donnan requests a variance to reduce the rear setback from required 35 feet to 10 feet in land lots 974 and 975 of the 16th district. The property is located on the eastern terminus of Fairfield Court, east of Fairfield Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V9? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V10, Eco Esses Construction requests a variance to reduce the side setback from required 10 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the east property line, and to reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an approximately 120 square foot, one-story metal shed from required 5 feet to 2 feet in land lot 1154 of the 19th district. The property is located on the south side of Ruston Drive, east of Poston Lane. Staff recommends approval, subject to development and inspection comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V10?
Okay, we recognize that there's some opposition to case V10, so we will pull that and we will hear that in our regular agenda.
Okay.
V10.
Variance case V13, Troy Welker, Imperial Pacific Property LLC, requests a variance to reduce the lot width and front setback from required 150 feet to 122 feet, which is existing, in land lots 203 and 230 of the 16th district. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V13? Let the record show there's no one opposed, and that completes the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman and Board.
Okay, it's back to this board, and before we vote on this, we're going to have a discussion period. Is there any questions or comments about any of the things on the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr.
Brian?
Chairman, I do have one revision on case V9 based on our conversation yesterday and then conversation with the applicant yesterday as well. We want to revise the variance granted to read 14 feet on the setback rather than 10, as was initially requested.
Okay, John, do we need to vote on that individually?
What you want to do is once you get all done, just vote on the revised consent.
Revised. Okay, 14 foot will be revised. Do I hear any other comments? Fred, do you have a comment on one of your cases?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Regarding V6,
Okay,
first I had a question for Mr. Peterson. I just want to make sure that nothing we're doing is inconsistent with our jurisdictional requirements, that we not conflict with any conditions imposed by the Board of Commissioners.
That is correct. There's nothing in this variance that can conflicts with the Board of Commissioners conditions.
Okay. And then second, I would just like to propose an amendment to the conditions to add the additional condition that the dry well required and the property must be maintained in such a manner as to prevent any increase in stormwater discharge.
okay, so we want to add a dry well and to maintain the property, how there's no future.
Maintain the dry well and the property in such a manner as to prevent any increase of stormwater discharge.
John, is that acceptable? Is that language?
That's fine.
Okay, we'll add that to it then.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions on what we have discussed as far as the consent agenda, with the exception of V10? Hearing and not hearing any more comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion then that we approve the consent
Okay,
agenda.
got a
As
motion.
revised.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And as the revised comments are also included. All right, I've got a motion, I've got a second. All in favor or opposed, just vote either way. Madam Secretary, we're going to approve that with the revised comments with a 5-0 vote. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you that were on the consent agenda, your business is complete with us today. You're welcome to stay. But if you leave, please leave quietly. We will continue on with our business. Now, as they're leaving, we have one case to hear, and that would be V10. Our process at that time is that Mr. Peterson will read that case into the record. Here again, the applicant, he or she will identify themselves by raising their hand. Likewise, the opposition will identify themselves by raising their hand. Our officer of the day is Ms. Bates. Those of you that are going to give testimony on case V10, we're going to ask you to come forward. We're going to swear you in, and all testimony will be given to the podium to my right. At that time, the applicant will have a 10-minute period to make their presentation known to this board. Likewise, and collectively, those in opposition will have a 10-minute period to make their opposition known to this board. So with that said, those of you that are going to give testimony on V10, come forward and let's get you sworn in.
And while they're coming forward, I'll reread it into the record.
Read it
Mr.
into the record, John. Thank you.
Variance case V10, Eco Oasis Construction, request a variance to reduce the side setback from required 10 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the east property line, and to reduce the side setback for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an existing approximately 120 square foot metal shed, required 5 feet to 2 feet, in land lot 1154 of the 19th district. The property is located on the south side of Ruston Drive, east of Poston Lane. The applicant is present, and there was one person in opposition.
All right. Okay, gentlemen, for the purpose of the record, if you would, please give me your name, please, first.
My name is Yuri Souza.
Okay, and then, sir, you give us your name.
Wallace Chester.
Okay, Mr. Chester. Guys, go ahead and tell us what you want.
We have purchased this property back in September, and it has a carport, and I just want to enclose the carport. But the house was built in 1955, and I believe the law changed on the 70s at one point. And then anything that you start building after that has to respect the 7 feet setback,
Right.
which is I didn't know this. When I start enclose the garage, the carport, the pre-carport that was already there, and then
Pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Again, as was stated earlier, it was a existing structure there with the carport. We're trying to go ahead and just cover the carport and close the carport. And actually, we brought the setbacks 2 feet in from where the carport initially was. And so we're just trying to get a variance so we can go ahead and cover the carport that was initially built when the home was.
Okay, anything else you want to, do you have any pictures you want to show us, any diagrams, any surveys, anything you want to tell us about? Anything else you want to tell us about?
I know we pulled, we don't have them with it, but we submitted those when we applied for the variance. We submitted those documents.
Okay. We have, I tell you, Cornelius is going to show,
Okay.
My sister wants to go to the
Personal
circus.
information about this.
Cornelius, turn that around, son. There you go.
Yeah, just leave it, yeah, there you go, just leave it.
All right, tell us, Mr. Chester, what are we looking at? Explain to us what we're looking at.
Right now, we're looking at the front of the house from the street, the front street. And that is, has been enclosed. That's the actual garage. And what we proposed to do was cover it, which has been done now. So again, on the end there, it did extend the initial carport that was built with the original construction. It was out 2 feet further. And so once we enclosed it with the roof on top, we brought it in some.
Now, for the purpose of the record and the people that are home watching and listening to this, you're not going to leave it this way. How are you going to finish that off? Tell us how you're going to finish that
Oh,
off.
no, it's gonna have a garage door and built the code. That's what we're trying to do, is build everything to code. Yes.
So it's good. So it's going to change. That's going to be taken off. You're going to put a nice color. It's going to match the house.
Yes.
All right. That's what I'm trying to get out of you.
I got you.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell us, gentlemen?
No?
Okay, if you would have a seat.
Thank you.
No, Judy, let me get the opposition and then you can go. All right, at this time, let's hear from the opposition. Ma'am, if you'd come forward. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Gloria Melton Gambino. I live at 1871 Ruston Drive, Southwest Mapleton, Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
The people that own the house that we're talking about today were there when my parents built this house in 1959. Members of our family have lived in that house since then. The house sits on 2 lots. The reason for that is because my parents did not want neighbors close by on either side. The house was sold, and I understood that it was going to be remodeled and perhaps sold again. Okay, some people showed up and started building. And most of them were Latinos, so they didn't speak good English, and they were not in charge. So I noticed they kept getting closer and closer to the line, the property line. So then I went over, there was a gentleman there who looked American, and he spoke English. And I asked him if he had a building permit, and he said yes. Well, it just so happened that I was on the phone with the permit office, and they said, no, there's no building permit. So I let them know what was going on. They sent somebody out, they marked the line, and they continued on with what they were doing. The existing structure there, that the Whitneys, the people who owned the house previously, was a porch. And what happened was that they had a slab put down, and they had the cover, the canopy came in. It was too wide. So rather than having them to rebuild it, Mrs. Whitney asked my father if they could go ahead and put the canopy over the slab, and he agreed. Now, that construction was open. It did not crowd my space or our land. Now there's a building there that looks like the Great Wall of China. And it's very, very close. In fact, it's right on the line. The setback is supposed to be 10 feet, I understand. In Cobb County, I asked one of the young men who was working there, who was a Latino, about the clearance, and he said that his boss, he wasn't in charge, he said his boss told him that they were within 2 feet of the line. Well, that's not the law. The law in Cobb County is 10 feet. Also, if you're going to start construction, you need a building permit. And I know that because I'm a designer and I've been to many job sites. So I checked with the permit office, no permit. So now we're having this variance hearing, and the house is too close to my house. The garage doesn't need to be that big.
Yeah, I guess so. Anything else you want to tell us, ma'am?
I can't hear you.
Anything else you want to tell us? Anything else you'd like to tell us? You mentioned a wall. Did they build a wall between the properties?
No. What they did was they enclosed a very large garage,
Okay,
and that's the wall.
okay. That
And
was
in back
existing.
of that, they
that-
built a fence along the same property line.
Okay. All right, can you see on the screen where your house is on the screen? The young man behind you is gonna, would you move your pointer around and show her where, no, stay right, no. Ms. Bates, stay with her. Is that your house? See where the arrow is pointing? Is that your house, ma'am? Where the hand is?
I don't know, I can't tell. Yes.
Sir, can you see, is that her house where the arrow is pointing? Can you tell us that's her house? You're indicating by shaking your head, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm the first house on the right on Rustin Drive.
That would be
Okay.
the house because that's where the
Okay.
structure is.
All right, ma'am, Miss Melton, anything else you'd like to tell us? Anything else you'd like to tell us?
Well, I had a,
Can I get a microphone for her, please? We'll help her back up.
okay, thank
You
you.
don't have to step up, they can stand right here.
Okay.
Because the house sits on two lots, there's a driveway that goes around the house. So I can exit next to the house in question. So it's right next to that driveway. So I have no variance whatsoever. Everything is right on the property line.
Okay. All right, anything else you'd like to tell us,
Anything else
Ms.
you wanna tell
Melton?
us?
No.
Okay, stay right there. Ms. Bates, stay with her right there. I'm going to declare the public session over with. Monique Sheffield represents that district, so Monique, would you please take over?
Sure, before I do, Judy, did you have a question? Oh, sorry. You sure? Okay. Thank you so much for coming down. I had an opportunity, Courtney, I'm not sure if you can get that back on without revealing any personal text messages to me, but I apologize to everyone about that.
It's okay.
Okay, so I had an opportunity to drive by the property, and what the applicant appears, what he's looking to do is just to install a standard, what looks like a standard two-car garage. So I don't see where there is an issue, but in listening to your opposition, in one claim, you're claiming that the garage is too big. But that's not the variance that's before us. The applicant is not looking to extend the garage past the natural bound of the house, where the house already ends. So I'm not really sure what your primary issue is. Is it that they're building a garage, or you're just not wanting to see a garage because he's not changing the overall structure of the property? I guess I just need a little more clarification on what the true opposition is.
Well, number one, this person broke the law, but not
He what,
getting-
I'm sorry?
Broke the law
Broke the law?
without getting a building permit.
Okay.
And
And
that's why
number
he's here.
two, they also have built up to the line with no variance at all. And my problem with that is that it's too close. It's not set back the way it should be. And it's my understanding that the law applies to everyone.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But again, you know, he's not extending it past the property line. What he's looking to do is enclose and utilize an existing structure. So for that reason, I don't see any reason not to grant his application.
No, he enclosed the garage.
Right.
It's
and-
already built.
Right, and I understand that he didn't have permits, but
No.
he has the permit, and that's why he's seeking the variance.
Right.
Right.
Well, I believe, being a designer, okay, I've been on a lot of job sites, and I know that people have to have a building permit.
Right, but we're beyond the point of the permit. And I don't see where he's violating any current code by approving the application.
So in other words, it's okay for him to build up to the line.
It's okay, well, that's,
Ma'am, the reason the applicant is here today is for the variance. That's what we're hearing.
I know
So-
that,
so
but
he
I'm
has-
objecting.
And we recognize your objection, but he has a right to come before us to ask for a variance, and that's what he's doing. You have a right to object to it. Did you mention that your dad built the house in 1959?
That house has been there since 1959.
Yes, you see, and zoning didn't go into effect in Cobb County until 1970. So when your dad built the house, they could build houses right on the property line and nobody cared. But that changed in 1970.
Right.
This gentleman has come before this board. This is our job, is to hear and to rule on variance cases. So he has the right to come before us. Obviously, you have a right to object. Is
Right.
there anything else you want to object to? Any other things you'd like to bring forward?
Yes, he's too close to my house.
Okay, we've heard that. Any other questions for the lady?
Judy had a question.
Ms. Williams has a, okay, we will hear,
okay.
will the applicant please come forward again? And Ms. Williams and some other members have some questions. We're finished with you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have a question?
Now, let's go.
Go to Judy first. Ms. Williams?
Yes, I have a question about your site, the garage, I'm assuming that is the garage that was attached to the house,
Yes, the carport. It
the
was
carport,
initial-
and
yes.
you have enclosed it?
Yes. For the
Did you
roof.
have any building permits?
No, that's why we're applying for a variance now to obtain our permits.
Okay, so you knew that you didn't have a permit, and you kept on building after the permit?
No,
After you were
well-
told that you didn't have a permit, y'all kept on building?
Now, once we find out that we need the permit, then we stop.
You stopped everything?
Completely.
Right.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Even if you look at the garage inside, it's completely, there's
Yeah.
nothing, it's like cut it out.
So is this going to be a garage, or is it going to be a living space?
No, it's a garage. It won't be a livable area at all. It's garage.
Okay, and did you know that you were gonna have to put a firewall when you're that close to the side property line? And you would have known that if you'd gotten the
can-
building permit,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
we can do that.
And whatever specifications we have to have designed to meet the current code, we're gonna do that.
Okay,
So it will
so,
pass
so you'd
inspection.
have to do a firewall on that
Yeah.
side? Then it's
Yes.
gonna be for garage, and could you tell me what the facade, the front of it's going to look like, the garage? Are you gonna do just
A
standard garage
door,
doors, or what's it gonna look
standard-
like?
A standard garage door,
White standard.
Okay.
yes.
And the side of it, is it brick also, the side?
No, that's frame construction,
That's frame that would face or be adjacent to the lady,
right, yeah.
the
to
lady
the
who
fence.
left?
The fence, yes.
Her side, it would be frame.
Yeah, yes.
And how about the back of the house? Is it frame also? Or is it just the
Yes,
front brick?
Yes, it's, right, yes, it's framed. The garage area is framed.
Okay.
Right.
And then the two buildings that's behind there,
Huh.
the two storage building that's behind there,
That's a
they were
shed.
existing.
Yeah, and that's a shed that could be taken away. at any
Okay.
moment. Yes.
So you're agreeable to taking that shed away?
Yes, if
If he
need,
needs to, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we want the shed gone then. And
Uh-huh.
then get your building permits.
yes,
And then you know you gotta put the firewall.
yes,
And you know you've got to make it pretty on the front.
yes.
Okay, those are my questions.
Fred, do you have a question? You had questions for Judy and all, you have a question for these gentlemen?
Yes, could you please just comment, you talked about what the side will, you talked about what the materials will be on the side? Can you be more specific with hardy plank or
No, it's a
vinyl? or
frame.
what?
Well, that will be, what are we putting on there?
It's siding.
It's siding.
hard
On
to
the-
siding.
Yeah,
It's
siding.
hard.
And the thing about it, the main thing, it will be built to code. Whatever the code requires, that's what we will, the final product will be built to code. So we will meet all standards and pass all inspections that are required.
And
Fred?
do you know approximately how many feet it is from the house that this lady resides in, the objector resides in,
4 feet. We're
No,
about-
no,
No, no,
no,
no.
no, per house.
from the house
Right.
itself?
Oh,
30
yeah, 300, I don't know,
It's-
500. You
yeah,
can
it's
barely
right.
see, it's got woods between us, we can even see each other.
Thank you.
Okay, Fred, Brian has a
Yeah,
question.
just one quick one. I know that 2 feet is really just enough for a person to walk by on the side of the property there between the garage, I guess, and the fence. But given the concerns that your neighbor raised, I'm just wondering if you guys would consider doing something in terms of some sort of natural buffer, maybe even on her property, so that she's not looking at this wall, as she puts
Yes,
it.
if,
I mean,
whatever would be, you know, for the beautify the area and make it more appealing for her, we are open to do that, yes. I mean, initially, again,
Yeah.
we brought it in, even, the initial structure footprint even extended all the way to the fence. We brought it in some as of now already. So, if.
I'm just thinking
board-
about her and
I
the concerns that
understand,
she
right,
raised.
and
If you
it-
guys would be willing, I would
Yes,
ask
yes,
if you would
definitely,
please
definitely.
do something there and have that conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
If not on their side, I mean, 2 feet doesn't leave you much room to do much on their side, you know, that's why, I don't know. That's what I'm saying, but ask them if they would be willing. Huh?
I don't,
I don't think.
But- Oh, well, okay.
okay, let me pull this back together.
Yeah.
Monique, this is your district, it's entirely up to you
Yes,
how
Mr.
you want to do
Chairman.
it.
Thank you. Well, while I'm concerned about the neighbor's concern, I just don't think it's necessary
No.
to have to plant any landscaping for her view. The siding of the home is typical to any, you know, to homes that are existing in the area, and I don't see where it would be a nuisance to her. Further, again, I don't see where I would deny the application for the garage because it fits in well with the home. Based on your description of the garage door, I'm assuming it's going to be your standard
Yeah, Copac.
garage door.
Copac, just a regular roll down garage.
Okay, what color were you planning?
White.
A white, okay, well, that seems to be typical of the area. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve application V10. I'm sorry, thank you, Judy. Subject to getting a building permit and installing the firewalls. John, you have something?
Just so we get the most perfect motion we can get. They did say they were gonna tear down that shed, right? Yeah, they did. Okay, so let's put that in the motion and delete variance request number 2.
One shed or 2 sheds?
It's just one shed back there.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah, delete number 2.
And to remove, yes, and to remove variance request number 2.
And to have the shed removed within how many days?
30 days.
30 days should be sufficient. And to have the shed removed within 30 days.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
Sounds like a
Okay.
Is that
perfect
okay with
motion.
you guys?
yes.
Is that,
My board members? Okay.
got a motion, got a second? Pull it all together, let's vote one way or the other, yes, ma'am, okay. Madam Secretary, we're
Thank
going to
you.
vote to approve that with a 5-0 vote. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
John, what else? Do you have anything else?
We are done.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need to approve some minutes from December the 12th and also the January the 8th meeting.
Approve the minutes as presented.
Thanks.
And I need a
I'll
second.
second.
Second, all in favor signify by voting one way or the other. Thank you very much.
Think.
We approve that. Judy, I need a vote. Monique, I need a vote. Need a couple of votes. 4-0, 4 with one abstention. Approve the minutes. If you'd like to make a comment for the record,
And
yes.
I'd just like to comment, my reason for abstention, I was not present for the December meeting.
And I understand that. Okay, very good.
We figured that one out.
John, anything else? Not hearing Mr. Peterson. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Your business all complete for us today. We'll see you next month.